What's going on, homies? So today I want to talk a little bit about something that might be a bit of an unpopular opinion, but I think it's true, and it's how much DBZ really needed its filler episodes to flesh things out. Because when I think about in my head who these characters are to me, as much as I like the mangas, like quick pacing and things like that, I realize that in my head when I think about Krillin, Goku, Gohan, Bulma, so many of my favorites, I have their characterization from who I came to know them as in these filler episodes, the way that it really fleshed them out, man. I think about stuff like the driving episode, the Garlic Jr. saga, and Gohan and Krillin building their bond on Namek. Without that filler, I feel like DBZ would lose its kind of heart and soul in a really big way. So I want to let's just talk about, man, why it's not duds and why it provides something integral to what we kind of know what DBZ is, man. So we'll just talk about some of the moments and the ways they kind of add like emotional weight, like characterization, some of that good stuff. And one, of course, I think one of the most popular filler episodes, period, is Goku and Piccolo's driving lesson, man. So you have Chi-Chi kind of coming together, getting Goku and Piccolo's bum asses together and saying, look, y'all need to get y'all license because we got real life crap to do. And if you don't, y'all out here cooking your own meals, you doing your own laundry, y'all been bumming it long enough. I need y'all to earn y'all keep out here, and seeing like Piccolo having to wear his civilian fit where he had that on, my man. You want to talk about aura farming, man? Even in street clothes, bro. Really, he got that on. He don't need the cashmere turban and cape combo. He's able to do his thing even when he's dressing down, man. And just kind of showing his awkwardness as a character, giving him some humanity during those moments of downtime, man. And even seeing Goku, kind of characterizing him as like this himbo with a heart of gold, where he doesn't have maybe a whole lot of skills all the time outside of throwing some hands and being the Earth's savior on this galactic scale, but he's got this heart of gold, where he can mess stuff up. But when it really matters, when things are getting destructive, when people need help, he's there for them. And just this little moments of the ways that was characterized in this mundane situation, we get like the contrast, you have like the comedy, and going from, of course, like that dichotomy of seeing Piccolo, who used to be Goku's biggest op, into seeing their dynamic now with them literally just getting behind the wheel together and their competitiveness going from power scaling and throwing hands into something a lot more like closer to home, man. It's like this little microcosm, and just like watching them help each other out, just doing normal stuff together, even when the planet isn't in danger. And I think that those character moments are something that are so desperately needed, man, because I think about even what Toriyama's own words. He talks about how his strength has never been that. He's never been super good at like the emotional and characterization stuff. He likes the comedy. He grew into the action piece and keeping readers excited and all of that. But like these little character interactions, romance, and writing some of these more nuanced dynamics between people, that was never his strong suit. But that is one thing that I feel like the broadcast team did so well, is bringing that dimension into what Dragon Ball is. And then the Garlic Jr. saga, man. So being the revival of the Makio star, the Blackwater Mist, and all that stuff, and dealing with the danger without Goku present, man, without the main hero, the way it gave Gohan a lot of time to shine on his own, and how him, Krillin, Piccolo, like they had to hold down the fort when you can't just press the Goku button, and which is a something again that's kind of desperately missing through a lot of Dragon Ball, a lot of Dragon Ball Z, especially seeing my man Krillin with his emotional arc with like Marin, which still kills me to this day that that's the name of his daughter. But you don't get that joke, right? Like you don't get that whole dynamic and why that's so funny if you don't have this filler, if you don't have these this small moment. It creates this whole inside joke throughout the Z community that we would never have, man. Gohan's anger, once again, like seeing that as a through line between the Saiyan saga, Frieza saga, and it coming up now, but allowing him a space to arise to the challenge without his pops, man, without Goku having to be the savior, and there being stakes for the Earth, even without all of these massive villains being present. And I like that it starts to build Gohan's character outside of his dad. You know who he is as a person, allowing him to step up and become his own character outside of the shadow of his dad and everything. And you start to see how him overcome fear and develop responsibility, develop independence and growth, and the ways that that dynamic with Krillin and Piccolo have help Gohan turn into something greater, even without that influence from Goku and everything, and all that again strengthens that emotional investment that we feel, man. It makes us care even when there's not necessarily a major arc present. And also talking about things that are building up the relationship or like cool go-tos. I think about I really like Gohan and Krillin's relationship during the Namek saga. I know in a lot of my previous videos I've made that joke about Krillin being Gohan's big homie, you know, being his uncle, and this to me is where that comes in. You don't have that depth of a relationship without those filler episodes on Namek, and for some reason these stick out so much in my head when I think back on my memories of watching Z as a kid. But like on the way to Namek, you know, where you have like the fake Namek arcs where Gohan, Krillin, and Bulma, they go to like these random planets, they're getting ambushed by these like aliens, these losers. It's ridiculous. But also the training moments, you know, like I think about back on Earth, like during the Saiyan saga. Even I know this is getting away, but like it's relevant because it's watching Gohan's growth and individually, man, with just him there without his pops, and seeing him, because a lot of Z is about the journey of Gohan more so than it is Goku, and we get a chance to see those moments in the Saiyan and Namek arc. And then during Namek, he gets these small moments of like leadership, you know, support alongside Krillin, watching those two play off each other, where Gohan has the power and he has so much potential, but he doesn't have the depth of experience, man, that Krillin has. And Krillin has this ongoing relationship with his father, and he kind of plays this dual role as both a peer as well as like an uncle, man, somebody that can help keep Gohan on the path, man, be there to support him while also helping bolster him in moments where he might need it. And so like seeing him kind of be Gohan's protector, emotional anchor, how Gohan learns about bravery in a lot of ways from Krillin with this human, man, he's a human, you know, he doesn't necessarily have all the buffs that these aliens and stuff have, but he's always showing up, like showing Gohan in non-battle scenarios, you know, like being scared, insecure, having to depend on his unk and everything, and allowing Krillin that time to shine. These moments, like they help make later decisions, and the emotional weight of like some of these deaths that come when we're talking about Frieza. I think that's also what makes it feel so tense, man. The Namek saga, to me, the Frieza saga is probably the most tense Dragon Ball has ever felt. That's when like the melodrama and stuff was at its highest, because Frieza feels like such a force of nature. And I think it's because we have so much filler in the way of these emotional connections and these relational dynamics and stuff that we don't have otherwise. And when you've been watching the television series and you finally get to the point where things are starting to happen, you've grown so attached to these characters that it just fundamentally hits different, man. It hits completely different. I love Goku's training, his journey to Namek, you know, where like my man's traveling and it has a lot of downtime, but we have stuff with like the conversations of like Bulma's difficulties and having to go out here and put her life on the line, like trying to make this stuff happen, going to a brand new planet, hanging out with Krillin and Gohan on the ship, these little character reflection moments about her history with Goku. There's a lot of like little delays and side episodes and stuff, but it helps like make the world feel bigger as well as grow the characters and everything. And also like Goku's training as well, man, like that how almost inspirational it was watching him go to his limit, trying his hardest as he was on that ship ride and everything, with the way that he battered himself mind, body, and spirit, and also giving us the the context for the Zenkai boost, and like how his training on there was so intense that he was destroying his body enough to be able to reach the level that he did when he got to Namek and everything, man. It's not just the physical journey though, but I think about like the mental, emotional, and motivational aspect of all this. And we see his determination, the sacrifices that he made, and the stakes. Again, the stakes as he's making his way over to Namek, and the worries about what he's going to find when he gets there, and all of that really being exploded through this filler. And then Goku and Gohan's time together before the Cell games is also another one of my favorite filler moments, man, where before the Cell games, you get like the extended training moments, but the stuff outside of the fighting is where I feel like it excels, where you have those quieter scenes where Goku and Gohan are interacting finally like outside of combat, when they're just taking a nap together and everything, man, where you're having the celebration for like Gohan's birthday, Goku encouraging him, like just chilling out home for a little bit with Chi-Chi and her delinquent ass man and child coming back with that permanent blonde hair and everything. But I think that it helps with that lead up and to give added weight to that decision for Goku to put Gohan on that mantle leading up to the Cell games, man. Those father-son moments, it provides such more of an emotional payoff when we finally get to that place, because without him, when Goku sacrifices, like when Goku sacrifice, or when he's like pushing Gohan, for some people it can feel like a bit more rushed or shallow, or it doesn't have the same emotional impact that it does when you've had all of these episodes to really watch their closeness. And that's been a constant criticism of Goku, like the deadbeat father jokes and all that sort of stuff that I've made myself, but like not necessarily in reality at all, man. Like we do know that he deeply cares about Gohan. That's where all these sacrifices come from. And I think that those small character moments do so much to show that Gohan and Goku's relationship is very solid, man. They deeply care for one another. They've had time to just sit and chill and just be people together outside of constant fighting. And that's something that DBZ desperately misses in just like its canon journey and everything. So while the fillers don't always move the main plot, they like who's going to take out Frieza, like what's going to happen with Cell and everything like that, they add so much emotional texture to the experience, man. They help us understand motivations more, these relationships between characters, what vulnerabilities that they're fighting with, these things that feel so rushed or like lackluster at times when it comes to having the punch that they might have otherwise. They provide like a nice contrast between like that the peace and war of like DBZ, man, the father and son relationship in moments of calm versus when they're at war, when they're fighting, when there's a crisis and everything. And Goku as a fighter versus who he is as a parent, a husband, a friend to these other characters. They give it breathing room. And I think for so many of us, maybe without realizing it, these filler episodes are the reason that we have so much attachment and weight to these characters. It's not just the major firecracker moments, but it's these little interactions, these little day-to-day moments, we'll call them. And I think that that's like real life, to be honest, man. If we're going to take it outside of Dragon Ball, when you think about how you grow close to somebody, it's not just like these big events, you know, where like, oh, when the fireworks happen, that's going to be the entirety of our relationship. Relationships with people are those slow, mundane, day-to-day things, man. Like that's where the work is done. That's where the grind is at. That's where connection gets built. And being able to have those slice of life breathing moments with these characters, I think does so much to create depth and connection to a series that is just lacking that in some ways, man. So y'all let me know, like, what's y'all favorite fillers episodes and everything, man. How do you feel, or what do you feel filler adds to the overall context of DBZ and like who these characters are to us and everything? I know that there's a lot that can be said about this conversation, with some people absolutely hating the filler. So I'm excited to hear from y'all about this. So that's all I got for you. Of course, channel memberships, I always talk about that at the end. Early access to videos, member exclusive videos, and a great way to help to support the channel, because y'all know what kind of time YouTube is on out here. So it is what it is. So I appreciate y'all coming through as always, and catch you again in the next one.